Welcome to Freezer Meals 101. This is our Appetizers Mega Marathon Part 2.
We planned so many holiday appetizers.
We?
Okay, fine. It was all me. It's my fault. I love appetizers. I can't help myself. But Christy went along with it, sort of.
I always go along with it. I don't have much choice. It's okay. I just make the labels around here and I'm like, this is a lot of labels, lady.
And so in our part one, we'll link to that at the end of this video and in the description below, but we made a lot and we made a lot of variety so that you can take things to whatever holiday parties you go to. You can host, you can have appetizers morning, noon, and night.
Yes, you could. You could have them for breakfast the next day because there are so many.
There was a thing that happened that led us to creating a lot of tarts.
Yes.
What happened is when I was looking for inspiration for appetizers, because I love inventing appetizers, it's one of my happiest things ever.
Which is partly why we have so many.
Right. I found a lot of ideas with the frozen phyllo tarts. And I was like, that's fantastic. I can make a few of those. And I was also gonna make some regular tart things, but I was like, phyllo tarts, that sounds so good. And then I went shopping and the first store didn't have phyllo tarts, not in their freezer section, not in their deli, nowhere. So I was like, no worries. I've got other stops to make. I'll check everywhere I go. The next store didn't have phyllo tarts, no problem. I've still got somewhere to go. Then I went to Costco. By now, I'm thinking, maybe these little phyllo tarts that are talked about so much are an American thing, and we're in Canada. Maybe you can't get them here.
I've totally bought them here.
I have too.
But maybe the pandemic messed up a lot of stuff for our supply chain in Canada, and there are just things that we can't get anymore.
Like
Chex
my favorite
Mix.
blue corn chips, Bugles.
Bugles. We can't buy Bugles in Canada anymore. You can't make nuts and bolts and Chex Mix.
Totally. I thought maybe phyllo tarts are not in Canada anymore, but at Costco they had something. I'm gonna show you. In their freezer section, they had this box. 120 tart shells.
It is the granddaddy of tart shell boxes. And how many did we use?
Most.
So our first video, there's a lot of variety, there's dips, we have gougères, you should go and check them out because they are very fancy, and we have like little bite-sized things. This video is entirely tarts. So stick with us, we have a lot of recipes to show you.
Surprising how much variety you can get with tarts and a little bit of imagination. But I made these all pretty simple for you. So you're just going to take your frozen tart shells, you're gonna throw some ingredients in them, freeze them, just like that. You're not even gonna cook them or anything. And then we'll show you how to take it from there.
None of these are sweet. They are all savory tarts. These are dessert tarts. A little bit of Canadiana for you. Butter tarts are a Canadian invention. If you don't live in Canada, Google them and look them up. They have raisins in them, sometimes they have pecans in them, and they have a gooey filling that my mom calls lum lolly.
That's such an interesting name.
Isn't it? And so she'll say, you boil it and you make it so that it'll firm up a little bit, but there's just a special texture, and then you make them into these frozen tarts. People in Canada will use that entire box and just make butter tarts. I'm not even kidding. It is such a thing here.
And I will be making butter tarts, the pecan version, with what's left of our tart box because I make butter tarts every Christmas. So
it is totally a Christmas thing to do here in Canada.
Like the Nanaimo bars.
We have a town called Nanaimo. So we have Nanaimo bars, and I've always tried to like them, but they have a little bit of coconut in the crust, and I just can't make myself do it.
I'm gonna start with something that couldn't be simpler. We're gonna take some brie. We got that at Costco too. Gonna slice it and just put a chunk of brie into each one of our tarts that are laid out on a cookie sheet. And then we're going to top them with a pecan and drizzle it with some melted honey. That's it. These are gonna go into the freezer like this. On the day that you bake these, the brie is going to just melt. That pecan's gonna kind of cement in there. The honey is gonna offer that sweetness, but I want you to add a little bit of fresh rosemary before you serve these.
Oh, super Christmassy.
Yes.
Do you eat the rosemary or is it just a garnish?
You eat the rosemary, so you don't want to add like a big sprig.
Okay.
But just a little bit of fresh rosemary on each one. It'll give you a pop of color and just an extra flavor.
And aromatically, it would be really nice as well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So those are in your freezer. You are going to take them from your tray once they're fully frozen and transfer them into a freezer bag. Get out as much air as you possibly can because air causes your freezer burn. But I know with the tarts, it's a little bit challenging to get the air out. If you want to be really, like for us, we got enough air out. I'm comfortable with it because they only have to last till New Year's Eve, Christmas, that kind of thing. And that's not that far away. But if you want these to last for months, you might want to stick a straw down in the corner of the bag, suck the air out, or you can put a sink full of water and
dip it. I think the tarts then might shift inside.
I agree.
So do what works for you, but really if you're going to be eating these within the month, I think that they're probably fine, even with a little bit of air in there. We do often say air is the enemy, and when it comes to something that's going to be in your freezer for 3 to 6 months, that is absolutely the case. Get as much as you can out. There's a little bit of wiggle room here on this one.
Yes.
The next recipe are apple nut blue cheese tarts. Again, we're going to take our simple tarts that we have got from Costco in the Granddaddy Big Box. And in a bowl, we are going to mix together some crumbled up blue cheese, some chopped apple, some dried cranberries, and chopped walnuts. We're going to mix that together in a bowl. Once that's mixed nicely together, we're going to just take a tablespoon and add it to each of your tarts and get that into your freezer. Once they're frozen, you're going to transfer them into your freezer bag, the same as we did the other tarts, and do not open until Christmas.
Now, the nice thing about making so many different kinds of tarts, even though it might seem boring, it's not, because there's so many different kinds and they're all gonna cook at the same temperature for the same amount of time. So what you could do is when you're done making all of these, you can go into your bags, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, any holiday gathering you've got, and grab out a few from each bag, lay them out on a cookie sheet, get them in the oven, and then you have a ton of variety. And it was just the same cookie sheet, same temperature, same time. So really nice. And if you live somewhere that they have the little phyllo cups,
these work in those too.
you can go ahead and do some with those, some with the tart shells, or just all of those, or whatever your preference is. We hope that with our channel, we try to show you that if you're missing an ingredient, it's okay. And if you can't find everything exactly, because a lot of times we've got viewers in the UK who don't have access to some of the things that we do here, or people in Australia that can't find certain ingredients that are called for in our recipes, but that's okay because you can still make it work. And so what we're doing today is we're just making it work.
We just make it work.
Okay, this next recipe is something that I've just adapted slightly from a recipe I have been making for years and years and years. And sometimes Christy and her husband come over for appetizer game nights. So they have tried these a lot over the years, and I usually make them on water crackers. But water crackers are not gonna freeze, thaw, and serve well. They're gonna get mushy and gross, and we're not tell you to get mushy things in your freezer.
No, we don't. So this is a nice substitute, and honestly, I love them so much that I used to request them. Can you make these, please? And they are that good.
Now, they're a little bit of work up front, not a lot, but a little bit, because you're gonna have to caramelize onions. But you're doing it now so that over the holidays you can just sit back with your feet up by the fire. I'm imagining that everybody has a fire. I don't, but maybe, and you can be all cozy with like a blanket around you and a book, and your tarts are already made and you don't have to caramelize the onions. Just pop them in the oven.
You totally can.
So for this, all you're gonna mix together is some blue cheese, caramelized onions, and cooked crumbled bacon. And those things go so well together. There's tang from the blue cheese, there's sweetness from the caramelized onions, there's bacon from the bacon. And you're just gonna put that into your tarts and get those in your freezer. Once they're frozen, of course, you can transfer them into a bag. And then you have another variety of tarts. In our other video, I had this container of artichokes and I had wanted to use the full thing. So in our other video, we do have a recipe that has some artichokes in it as well. So if you were using the granddaddy of artichoke.
The granddaddy artichoke jar, then you can make something else. And what better to make than artichoke dip? You have spinach and artichoke dip, you can have spinach dip, you can have artichoke dip. We're gonna put artichoke dip into a tart, bake it, and everybody gets their own personalized artichoke dip.
I think that's a pretty great idea.
That is pretty great. To start, we are going to drain our artichoke hearts and finely chop them, and we want to take out the little hard bits in there. We're going to mix together with some mozzarella cheese, some green onions, some whipped cream cheese, some fresh minced parsley, grated Parmesan, some sour cream, mayonnaise, just a little bit, some minced garlic, and a little bit of salt and pepper. Once we mix that really well in our bowl, we can just add it into our tarts. This is a nice one because it actually makes quite a bit. This one makes a full tray. Again, we are going to freeze these just like this on the tray, then transfer them into our freezer bag to add to our variety of appetizers in our freezer.
I think when we serve this one, it's going to be really nice because it's got the cream cheese, the Parmesan, and the mozza, so it's kind of going to bubble up a little bit.
It might have some color, some coloration. I think it is something that if you chopped it fine enough to add red pepper into, then you could have a little more Christmassy, or pimento, because it doesn't have a lot of flavor, right? It's mild.
Great idea. We should have thought of that this morning.
Next year. We'll make these again because I think they're going to be really good. We have not tried them. We haven't eaten them yet, but we think that they're going to be really good. It's just, I mean, it's artichoke dip. Who doesn't love that?
We had some leftover brie, so I invented another tart because we certainly had enough tart shells to go around. And I wanted to add a pop of Christmas color. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna slice your brie and put a piece of that brie into each tart shell. You wanna slice it fairly thick because you wanna really be able to taste it. And then you're gonna top that with some jellied whole cranberries. That will give you the tang and taste, but also that pop of Christmas color, which we love. And then on top of that, you're gonna make this even more Christmassy because you're going to add some chopped pistachios. So you get a pop of green, which is really, really exciting. You can also add a little bit of salt and pepper if you just wanna season these a little bit, and then get those into your freezer just like the other ones. After they're frozen, you're going to transfer them into a freezer bag. Now, in the other video that we did with the holiday appetizers, we had used pistachios in another recipe. We had also used the jellied cranberry sauce in another recipe. And so when you do that and you use like ingredients, you're saving money, you're adding variety without spending a lot more, and you're using up what you have. So we're gonna pop a video right there to all of those holiday appetizers. If you paired those with these, oh my. Oh my, we really did do an appetizer marathon.
And we're just gonna have a really wonderful Christmas because of it. Christmas Us is going to really thank Today Us, let me tell you.
So much so. And while we made these appetizers, we actually had a Christmas playlist playing, and it was actually starting to snow for one of the first times this year where we live. And so it kind of felt just very like getting us into the holiday spirit.
It really helped to get us into the holiday spirit. Plus, if you can do it with your best friend, you should do that. If you can do it with your kids or with some special family friends or a special family, just do it and make it happen. Because we do it with our baking, why wouldn't we do it with appetizers?
Absolutely. This was a lot of fun. And of course, it's always more fun when you join us. So thank you for being here today.
Merry Christmas.
Happy cooking.